Hey guys, so this is going to be a quick little video on the demos we did in class. I had a couple people ask if I'd share the code and stuff. I will, but here's the explanation as well. So the first of the two is going to be the FairDiceRoller. So remember, the concept of a fair die is that no matter what side it is, they come up about the same number of times. This is not a perfect situation. It will not be completely fair, but it will be fair enough for our purposes. So this one, I still have my import statement that is required for both scanners and random. Okay, if you use the wildcard version like this, one line and that's it. Otherwise, you have to specify each one of them. I've got my skeleton up here, and then I've got my two objects. Okay, so those both come from the utility folder, which is why the import works. Scanner, no difference. Random, that's the name of my object. So random, I give it some variable name, I use my new keyword, and then I restate the object name. Now, random does not have anything inside these parentheses. It's empty, but that's okay. That's all we need. Then I get my starter values. So all 6 of these are accumulators. They're going to be gathering information while the loop does its business, okay? They're named very simply count 1 through 6, and it's just how many times that number pops up. So we're looking at a normal 6-sided die. Prompt, how many rolls. So in this case, I'm giving the user the opportunity to enter how many trials they want to actually calculate. Okay, could be a lot, could be a few, but it's just going to be what they choose. Loop control. So here I've got my control variable. That's going to be what walks through the loop every time, and that's my test. So I'm going to start at 1, and I'm going to go all the way until they hit whatever number they give me. Okay. Over here in the comment, you'll see I've written some notes for you guys. So RNG, that's the variable I named. Grab next int. Almost always we will go for integers just to keep things simple. Inside the parentheses, I put the range. Okay. How many specific values could it be? So if I was to do 1 through 10, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that would be my range. Same thing if I did 60 to 69. 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 60, 67, 68, 69. 10 possibilities, okay? Outside the parenthesis, that's where I have my starting value or my lowest value. That's where I want it to begin, okay? By default, next int begins at 0 every time. So that's why we have to shift them up or down depending on where we want to begin. So on its own, next int 6 gives us a range of 0 to 5. We add 1 outside of it, which pushes everything from 1 to 6. So here is my finished code. Okay. After this, I've just got some simple if tests. Probably the quickest, shortest way. Some people asked, yes, you could have done switches because you're just reading one value. But yeah, that's it. Okay. And most importantly, down here at the bottom, I have my update to my control variable. Okay. So if you never update this, it's going to be stuck here in an infinite loop. Okay. So this will run n times whatever the user gives us, and then it will fail and kick out of the loop. Hey guys, Mr. Joe from the future here. I just want to jump in. I didn't actually show the switch, so here it is. So it's going to be set up the exact same way we just did with the if test. Switches actually take a little more extra code, but this is how it could look. So I've got my loop control up here. My while's still the same. I still do my random roll. Instead of the ifs, this is where I put a switch. So I'm reading the variable roll, and I put all my cases in. The reason why this takes extra code is because not only do we have to increment, but we also have to break each time, otherwise it's going to add to all the other values. So even though this does technically work, I would recommend the if test just to keep the code short and sweet. You don't have to worry about the formatting with the curly brackets, the colons, the cases, but it is a valid option if you want. Okay, return you back to the previous scheduled tutorial. Thank you. Down here at the very bottom, this is where I do my summary. So after I've gathered all that information from all those accumulators, then I print the results. I remind the user how many total rolls they asked for, and then I identify how many each die face came up. Okay, how many times did 1 come up, 2 come up, 3 come up, and so forth. Okay, so this one, give it a couple of runs. If we did, say, 100 runs, okay, 18, 16, 12, 21, 17. Not too bad, pretty fair. We do have a little bit of an excessive low and a little bit of excessive high, but those kind of balance out. If I tried it again, went somewhere higher, let's say 1,000. Okay, good. We're still in the same range. We don't have anything that's like egregiously big or small. And that would continue if we went even higher. So 100,000. Okay, so we can tell just by the first couple of numbers, we're still in the 16,000, so everything is pretty much fair. So yes, our computer, as it stands, is mostly fair. Okay, so that's working with the accumulators. The other one we did in class was to just see how long it will take for us to roll 20 on a 20-sided die, okay, or a D20. The beginning of my program is set up the exact same way. Okay, I've got my little question here. This is just for me, it's a comment. So default values, I need 2 values. First thing I need is I need the face. What number is sitting there on the die? Okay, as this is just getting started, I haven't actually rolled the die. I'm going to put a -1. Okay, in coding we call this a garbage value. It's not meant to be taken seriously. It's just there to fill a placeholder. Okay. Some of you have seen that error, blah, blah, blah. Some error may, or some variable may not have been initialized. You get a warning or an error sometimes. This is to get rid of that. It's just there to sit there and not be empty. The other value I need is I need a count. So I'll be very creative and call it count. This is just to keep track of how many times I've rolled the die. Okay, we'll use that later in the print statement at the end. And that's it. I only need those 2 variables. Face, because it's kind of up in the air, this is also going to be my control value. So while face is not equal to 20. There you go. As its update in this case, this is where I actually run the random. So face is now equal to rng.nextInt 20 plus 1. Okay. So it's still got the same 3 pieces every loop does. We initialize the control variable, we test it, and then we update it inside. The other thing we need to do is we need to increase counter. So count plus plus. And just so that we can keep track of everything, let's just see exactly what gets printed. So inside here, I'll print face, and then I'll concatenate a space. So these will all be on the same line, and it'll just keep going until I hit that magic number of 20. Okay. Last thing here, it took count times to roll a Nat20. Okay. And since these are all print statements up here, everything is going to be on the same line. So for this sentence, I'm going to use one of my escape sequences so that it hits return before it prints this sentence. Okay. This is it. So do a quick run. Okay, I need to put a spacer there. So this time it took 42 attempts, and those were our values. Put a space there. I run it again, I might get something different. I did. This time it only took 7. And every time I run this, it will randomly, ooh, first shot. Every time I run this, this will get some random combination of numbers, and it just rolls until it hits a 20. Wow, 2 ones. And then hope this demo helped you guys. The codes will be included in an announcement. Thank you.